start recording.
That is definitely Aurelia's background.
Yeah, I heard about the flower power from last session. So
I was mostly thinking of the Disney version of Aurelia, who seems like she'd be the sort to just be rolling around in flowers while other people are fighting demons. Who would like to give a recap?
So we started out last time in the middle of battle, about to start, with T-Hole being completely surrounded by these gem crystal demons, which we fought and surprisingly beat without too bad of injury to us. After that, we went through the process of attempting to open Mordenkainen's treasure room. Had a hiccup because there was no hoplite or spear wielder. And then that's when we were like, hey, wait a minute. The dog's name is Spearmint, isn't it? And everybody's like, oh, yeah, duh. And so we then did it again with everybody using the dog in the place of the spear wielder, which then caused the garden to suddenly darken as if storm clouds were overhead. We heard thunder, and then sudden screaming of individuals sounding like they were in torment coming from down the hall, which was exactly the opposite reaction that Lucirosi might have expected. We then discovered that the room where Aurelia had made her bedroom, one of the walls had opened up to reveal the vault of the treasure room, which was quite underwhelming compared to what we were expecting. While there was plenty of money in there, there were no spell books or any books of any kind, no weapons or objects of power. We did see a giant Buddha-like statue with a thing of sand under it that was always level and would refill itself. And there was a symbol on the Buddha's belly, I want to say, which basically seemed to indicate infinity, but it was an incomplete equation because there was no other side to it. So while the group was trying to figure out all of that stuff, Lucirosi split the party to go and investigate what was going on down the hall, being very concerned about what was going on and probably also still feeling some of that battle rage coursing through his veins and itching for another fight. Saw that there were some entities that he determined were some kind of undead creatures in what appeared to be a trophy room. And then once he discovered those, backed away because he did not want to try and take those things on by himself. But the screaming of the people didn't seem to be ending at all. And then Lucirosi tried looking into the ballroom to see if there was anything he could see from there. And he didn't really see anything that indicated a change within the ballroom. So he brought this information back to the group and tried to argue that there were people in need that might need their help. And Daggerface very bluntly indicated that Lucirosi was being dumb and should shut up. And Lucirosi, being taken aback by Daggerface's bluntness, shut up. And then I know at one point T-Hole was attempting to play with the sand to some degree because there was also a floating quill above the sand. And so he tried writing various symbols in the sand, such as the infinity sign, and whatnot. Nothing that T-Hole did seemed to impact anything there. And so at the end of the day, recognizing that we needed some rest and a plan for addressing what was going on, the party decided to attempt to close Mordenkainen's treasure room, which then did shut, returning the sun back to the garden, though the sounds of screaming and torment never ceased. And then, knowing that there were still enemies lurking about, we barricaded ourselves within Auregia's bedroom, and then slept as best we could.
Yeah, so some additions. The technically, you figured out to point the thing towards Spearmint after T-Hole called on the librarian, and then the librarian mentioned that the hoplite used to be atop that monument, and then he also pointed out, which Darius did, that the dog's name is Spearmint, which he thought gave it away. The sound of thunder it wasn't exactly thunder. It was just most akin to thunder more than anything else. There was a little bit of a sort of high-pitched whine to it. And now that Aurelia is here, Aurelia, you actually would have recognized that sound, but let me send you a whisper.
And Daggerface got his ass kicked last game, and Zarius kept using Spare the Dying.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
It was it worked. It kept him very distracted. The weird demon thing, so I think we're good.
The demons seem very frustrated by Zarius continuing to keep Daggerface alive.
Right.
And
Well,
I mean,
in part, I was there was a little bit of metagaming there on my part, because I was kind of thinking that if I were the demon and I knew I had multi-attack but wasn't using it for some reason, this would be really annoying.
I just assumed it was something. He had something that we were lucky that we only had the three of us. It made that possible. Otherwise, I would have had to actually heal him.
Also, the sound of the wailing you did identify as coming from the ballroom, but looking like through the windows, you couldn't locate a particular spot it was coming from. It sounded increasingly loud as you got down the hallway, but you're sure it wasn't coming from the trophy room. The trophy room just happened to have its door wide open. So the screaming does eventually subside as you guys hunker down for a rest. Otherwise, it might be a little hard to rest, as it was still pretty loud and disconcerting. But it does fade away over time. After about half an hour, it's pretty much gone. The thunderous sound only occurred initially when you opened up the gateway to enter into the secret room, and then again when you closed it.
How am I going to sleep with all this screaming next door? Tell those kids to quiet down over there.
Go and bang on the glass.
Hey!
By the way, Kurt, do you have any penalties for sleeping in armor? I think this would be a situation Lou Shirosi would probably keep his armor on.
I wouldn't worry about it now. I mean, if it becomes like a thing where it's like day 14 of your campaign and you're still in armor, then I'll probably bust out the Xanasar's guide rule. But
okay,
one night you could certainly pull off. But after the noise dies down, you're able to get in a rest.
all right. So once Lucirosi wakes up, he will look to the rest of the group if they're already awake, and say, "That was some strange dreams. Those voices. I'm wondering That's weird.
What did you dream of?
It's memories is fading, but there were. I was fighting. I think I was fighting. I could still feel that rage, that glorious, righteous rage that I've learned to wield in battle. And then suddenly there was darkness. There were these other creatures, and something about Asmodeus. Why would I dream about Asmodeus?
What did you? Interesting. What of Asmodeus?
It's crazy. This dream was just. This place is having a strange effect on me. There's no.
I only asked because I also dreamt, and that subject matter was somewhat involved. I'm curious what.
Wait. You dreamt of Asmodeus as well?
He was at the end of my dream.
Yes. Like Xarius, that is where his place was as well. I actually had multiple dreams.
I dreamt of the creation. How our world began.
I'm getting a sense of maybe that was part of what I was dreaming. This can't be a coincidence then. If we all dreamt about Asmodeus and the creation of our world, did any of you get the sense that Asmodeus actually had a purpose to serve?
Why, yes. He seemed to be a guardian of sorts.
But that's preposterous.
He was a guardian of some idea, some object. Whether the object was real or not, one cannot say. It was just a dream. But he was a guardian who, at least in some respects, he was set on upon by he was ordered to do by higher powers.
The thing that just, the most ridiculous part is I get the sense that whatever it is he's guarding is central to the existence of our very world. If I'm remembering the dream correctly, which that can't be.
I mean, is it not so often that things are not so black and white? Evil and good are not so black and white. It is. I have learned in my long time on this earth, this world, that it's never so easy to just assume.
Giving people's souls away for information is not so hard for one such as yourself.
Now. I didn't give your soul away.
No, but you gave away dagger faces. At least I had a choice, but I'm not trying to bring this up right now. For another time, T-Hole, and you will answer for that. But there are things, sure, that are not black and white within our world. But the demons, devils, that's the exact basis of their existence, is that they are absolutely corrupted and incapable of redemption.
Redemption by who? The victors?
Redemption in the way that one seeks to be redeemed. They're incapable of such an act. One would need to understand that what they have done is wrong. They have no such feeling, no empathy.
I feel like they would just call that freedom.
Freedom indicates that they can make a choice other than evil.
Freedom implies that each of us has choices to begin with. Alas, there are larger tables with a lot more mead on them where such discussions are better suited.
More that
So we need to focus. If this dream that we've all seemed to have had to some degree, if it means something, okay, let's use it. Let's try to use the information to get through our next task, but what will we even do with that knowledge? Or how can we even know that it's trustworthy?
Did your creation, did it come across as a song?
Yes.
Freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose.
Is that why you seek Mordenkainen, Aurelia?
I seek Mordenkainen because he's a traitor and a nasty person, and he needs to die.
I don't wholly disagree with you. He was a bastard.
Is there any chance we get to go frolic back in the flowers? I really enjoyed that.
Maybe after the screams die down.
Oh, the screams.
The screams are over. You've rested.
Okay.
We must decide if we wish to move forward or attempt to figure out the puzzle of the statue.
Well, I did have another dream. I believe it provided. It was of a long time ago, a memory long forgotten, recently resurfaced, of Mordenkainen and his
Sounds like a nightmare.
vanity. It truly was a nightmare in the end, but I do believe he was spouting on about some clue, some indication of what would of this particular riddle that he was solving. He had quite a fancy for mathematics, and particularly this set of number theory. So if we can reopen it, I think I have a better chance of actually solving it this time.
Has anyone heard that strange noise? Since the door? The noise that was made when the door was open and then it was closed, that noise.
The thunder?
Yes. It sounded a lot like when I used the amulet to open the portal to get to the plains. But it's probably not. It's probably just similar.
What do you mean? What amulet? What portal?
Well, I used an amulet of the plains to get here. It's probably similar because they probably sound a lot alike. Anyway, I'm sure those flowers are still out there.
So you're saying that the sound that you heard wasn't just thunder, that
No, that wasn't thunder.
well, that might explain why the screaming started. And that may bode very poorly for us, because if a portal has opened, something very bad may have come through.
Why does it always have to be bad?
Because that is our luck in this cursed place.
It was a Solar.
What? So, I agree with T-Hole that if we're able to solve the riddle, Mordenkainen's treasure room, it might provide us with some means of stopping whatever it is that lays beyond the hall. But Aurelia, when you talk about this portal, the sound of the portal, when a portal makes that sound, does the sound emanate from where it's opening, or does it just suffuse the entire area?
It's probably pretty close to where it's opening. I don't know. It was a long time ago that I used the amulet.
How long ago?
I don't know. A long time.
That's
1,300 years from your point of view.
That could be a long time.
Kurt, when we heard the thunder, do we get a sense of what direction it came from?
Not exactly. It seemed like it was all around you, but it was not coming from the same place as the screaming. So you could tell that seemed like it was sort of emanating from directly down the hallway. And given that it was so loud, you really don't know. It may have been sort of echoing around this. It looks like it's an open space, but it's actually pretty confined. So you're sure it was sort of in this little area with you and not coming from another spot on this floor, but you couldn't necessarily say 100% for sure that it was coming from the spot in the wall where it opened up.
All right, well,
It might be Mordenkainen. He might be coming through.
well,
Perhaps that's just the sound. Perhaps his treasure room is in another plane. And when we open up the door and solve and do whatever sort of riddle that bastard created, it actually triggers opening a plane, which is why we hear that thunder.
I'm gonna look at the wall again, where it had opened up before. See if there's any sign of anything.
You search for quite a while, but you don't see any evidence that there's a portal there or a doorway. So clearly, the circle of stone clearly sort of appeared and disappeared in place. So, well, even if it wasn't planar travel, clearly it is teleporting in or somehow magically dissolving. So there might not be a sign.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't really put much past him with that regards. He was very powerful, as this place is a testament to.
well, if we're going to
T-Hole, you would know that functionally speaking, this would just be, if this were an extra dimensional space, this would be sort of just a big version of Leoman's secret chest.
Ah, okay.
Because this whole thing first is in the astral plane to begin with. So really, it's just you need a way to open up an extra dimensional space, maybe or maybe not connected to another plane.
I mean, when the manor was created, and presumably this treasure room was created, it was not in the astral plane at that time.
Well, when the manor was originally created, at least from what the servant sketched out, there wasn't a second floor. This was built afterwards. So at some point, he had to build this whole space. That said, you would know enough about Mordenkainen to know if he wanted to have a treasure room, it wouldn't just be something where anybody with a pickaxe could like break through the wall to get in. So from your perspective, he probably would have tried to, and certainly secure it, but he might well have tried to use an extra dimensional space the size of a room to hide his treasure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if we are going to go about opening this door once more, perhaps we should get going with it. So if there's no objections, Lucirosi would then begin removing the barricade he set up to open the door out into the garden.
Right.
So he would probably open it very slowly and cautiously and be listening. Would he hear or notice anything different in the garden?
You hear the sound of birds in the fountain and nothing else.
Okay. So then I would open it slowly. And then does it appear anything in the garden that wasn't there before? Anything change?
Nope. Looks to be identical.
All right. So then Lucirosi would make his way to the fountain and then once more begin the sequence to open the treasure room. But just before pointing it in the statue in the final direction, he would look up just in case he can see any change. Because, I mean, obviously it darkened last time, but I don't know that anybody specifically looked up to see if there was anything in the sky that had changed or been different other than the appearance of the clouds.
Right. Well, the whole area is fringed with white clouds, walls of fog, basically, that extend up into the sky. Eventually they end and you can see sort of blue sky all above you and the sun just shining down from directly above, essentially right over the statue.
Okay.
It's going to be an eclipse. You're going to go blind.
Yes. Are you averting your gaze or are you staring directly at the sun?
I'm not going to pull a Donald Trump. But I will shield my eyes from the sun directly to see if there's any other change around the sky.
None that you see right now.
Well, as I'm turning the statue in the sequence.
Right. As you're turning them, everything looks normal.
Okay. And then once I hit that final spot.
The moment you get to the final turn of the statue on the second go through of the whole sequence, you see the sun turns orange and then begins to fade like a bulb going out. The sky darkens and you begin to hear all around you again the sound of rolling thunder, a rolling thunder-like sound with a very high-pitched whine that seems to move through it. Everyone who's in the room, you also hear it, but it seems much more specifically focused on the wall as that circular hole reappears.
Okay. So once I've completed that, I'm going to meet the others back in the the bedchamber.
And Daggerface rolls out of bed.
How are you feeling, Daggerface?
Better than I was. Now we can go down the hallway and fight.
Yes. We're going to take one more crack at this riddle, though. Did you have any dreams?
No. I mean, none that are worth sharing.
Interesting. Now, anyways, so Teal's going to step through, or attempt to step through.
Yeah, I mean, you can move through the wall. Daggerface goes into the room.
It's not letting me go through it, actually. Oh, never mind. It was that roll. So T-Hole stand in front of the sand,
Mm-hmm.
and he picks up the quill and he writes an infinity symbol with mimicking what he sees with K equals 1 and the infinity at the top of the summation. And then he writes 1 over n to the 1 over k to the n.
So as you write, before you actually get to the whole thing, as you write the equals and infinity symbol, the last time you wrote just the infinity symbol, you hear there's another clap of what sounds a bit like thunder. The entire floor of this room begins to fade away, and all of you seem as if you're falling through space. And you land in some strange other realm on a large platform. You see the painting lands next to you on this brownish platform that seems to be floating in the air over. Below you, about 60 feet down, is an enormous skull. Across from the skull, at about the same level as you, there's another platform. It's about 10 feet lower, perhaps, and you can see that there's some blue sigil and circle glowing upon it over here. There are various little gear-like things that are sitting in the spot where teeth would be on the top of the skull. A dome-like structure is in front of you. It stands about 40 feet tall, so you have to move a bit to see the top of it. But it is completely wreathed in flame and fire.
Wow. This is a bit more like what I was expecting.
Yeah. All pomp and circumstance. He has no style.
Zarius, you would notice in the middle of this, that's the column of fire. Through the pillars of the building itself, there appears to be something in the center of it. There is a large rock that's in the back of it. It looks like nothing more than that, like a large rock. But in the very center of it, it looks as if there's maybe a person.
Alrighty. I'll step around to this, I guess. And
Am I still falling? I'm not there.
Oh, that's right. You're rolling around in flowers in the garden.
Oh, nice.
Watch out.
Good.
Wait, where'd everybody go?
Oh, wait. Now there's 2 of you there that I see.
What?
But which one's the real one, and which one's the fake one?
Duplicates.
You have 24 hours.
Okay. So do we just kind of like fall like feather fall, or are we just there?
No, yeah, it's not a very rapid fall, so when you land, nobody takes any damage.
So it's
But
like
you
Mary
can see
Poppins
there is-
style.
Yeah, there is behind you what appears to be a small tube that just extends down through this platform and disappears underneath it. It appears as though if you were to jump into it, you would begin to fall again. But you landed just at the edge of it.
Do you think it's a slide?
Well, it appears to be the way we came, or the way we were going.
I would not test it yet. Let us decipher this place.
What is this before
There's
us? Can we...
Person or a statue in the middle over there.
Wait,
What?
person?
Or statue.
Lucharos is going to look in the direction that Zarius is indicating. Does
Now that
Lucharos
he's-
see anything?
Now that he's pointed it out, yes, you can make out that there's some figure sitting in the center of what looks like an ancient style temple, although there's not much in it other than the rock in the back and this figure in the center of it.
With the fire, the fire is all around this dome temple?
Yes.
And the space between us, does that seem like something that could be traversed, or is that just open?
It is 60 feet from you to the skull below you. So you would have to get down there somehow. And as far as you could tell, gravity is otherwise normal. You see the skull itself is just floating in a colored field of what looks like gas. But otherwise you see nothing out other than just clouds of gas as far as the eye can see.
Teal's going to look at the picture that fell with us. What is the picture again? The painting.
It is just a landscape. There are several hills and a field in it. It doesn't necessarily look like it's magical. It looks just like a piece of artwork that somebody took off the wall.
Why didn't the urns come with us?
Well, maybe the urns weren't close enough to where we fell. I must have gotten it right.
I think so.
No, I have a strong feeling this is exactly where we need to be, where I need to be. I need to get closer to that figure. I need to see who that is.
What are we standing on exactly?
It is just a flat platform.
And if I were to like kind of like peek around to like kind of below it, is it shaped funny or?
It appears to be circular. Underneath it, you see nothing but it's jet black underneath. So you can't even really make out much in the way of features. Although you don't necessarily see what the source of light is here. It's pretty diffuse. The underside of the platform just appears to be black.
Okay.
So if I pull out the rope from my explorer's pack, is there anything that I would be able to anchor it to on this platform?
There's nothing except that, the tunnel out of here maybe.
What's it made out of? Stone or?
The platform?
Yeah.
It appears as though it's a surface. The surface of it that you're standing on appears to be nothing more than dirt, like mostly clay, soil.
Do you happen to have any pitons?
I have an explorer's pack. I think that might come with them. Let's see.
I yell down the tunnel, the hole. Hello. Is there an echo or anything?
No, you don't hear anything back from the tunnel. You do see that the roof of the temple in front of you begins to rise. It rises up off of the pillars itself, slowly at first, but it's increasing in speed, moving upward.
Wait, What is what?
The roof, there's a copper roof on the temple in front of you where the fire is circling around.
Yeah, okay.
And it appears to be being pushed up.
Okay.
Just the roof?
Yes.
Is it on fire?
Riddle me this. Yeah, is it?
The roof.
The
You beat me to
fire,
it.
yeah.
The roof is on fire.
The pillar of fire swirling around, it seems to be moving up with it. So although you could see through it in bursts, it appears as though the column of fire is growing taller. The stone pillars that were holding the roof up do not appear to be growing, though.
It doesn't look like the Explorers pack has pitons.
No.
What are pitons?
They're like the things that you use when climbing that you hammer into the rock side.
Ah,
All right, so how do we get across this chasm?
I think I can get 2 of us over there.
oh, how?
Dimension door, silly.
Ah, of course.
And Zarius, you begin to now see the rock in the back is starting to move, like shake.
Okay. The stone is moving.
Aurelia, could you transport me with you to that space?
Is that what you want, Mr.
I do not
Scratches?
believe that wise.
Does it look like the fire is going through everything? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Like how
Yeah,
it's
the fire is definitely hitting every spot inside that temple.
okay.
So is the base of that temple like on the forehead?
Yes. It appears as though someone built like a stone circle into the forehead of this giant skull and then built the temple on top of it. The roof of the temple is now just about level with the platform that you're on.
Do you think you'd be able to survive that?
The fire?
Yes.
Let me see. I think I may have a spell that could help. Or maybe not. Maybe that's not high. No.
What if we just dispel the magic on the temple?
Can you do that?
Well, we could try. Does this magic seem familiar at all to T-Hole? Like,
not necessarily in terms of, I mean, certainly it could be a spell. You're not aware of a particular spell that would create this effect. It's almost like it's a permanent fireball. But, you know, there are any number of things that can create permanent fire.
well, I meant
Any number of stones that could create permanent fire from the plane of fire that if moved here could create an effect like this.
I just meant like the skull, these colored gases.
Oh, the skull. Give me an Arcana check. You would know that in the astral plane, it is said that there are the remains of giant beings that float around, just dead bodies from some ancient war.
Gross.
I think I know what must be done. I think that this person within is a prisoner, and that I must free them And if that is true, then I think that the gods, Asheros, has saw fit to bless me with means with which to open it.
Hold.
What if they're bad?
What of the gears? We should not neglect them.
It's possible that we need to turn the gears or manipulate them somehow to shut off the fire.
Well, as I said, I think that perhaps this is worth a try. And then Bluestros is going to take out the chime of opening.
Okay.
In his head, he figures, based on what he's thinking he sees, he's putting together that perhaps this is a prison. And if it is a prison, perhaps it is a lock that can be opened with the chime of opening. And so he will hit the chime in the direction of that swirling fire.
Okay. Is there a range on the chime of opening? I don't know.
120 feet.
Okay. So you hit it on whatever you wish your armor will do. It begins to ring, and you point it at the figure in the center, but nothing seems to happen.
Okay.
And you've used yet another use of it.
I still have one more.
Shh, quiet now. He's got all his action points, and we're almost an hour in. So,
And at this point,
You've just pissed something off.
at this point, the roof is substantially higher than you. It's about 20 feet over the surface of the platform that you're on.
Well, that didn't have the effect that I was expecting. What
Can
of
we-
these gears? Have any of you been able to discern their purpose in this?
What does it look like is in the middle of these gears?
They're just, as near as you can tell, it's some sort of gemstone. There is flashing colored lightning coming from the gemstone that circulates around the gears.
what if this is a trap, a prison for somebody who shouldn't be released?
I am faith that this is not just a prisoner, but somebody that I am destined to release. Somebody that can guide our path and perhaps even... Oh,
You begin to hear a very loud yelling. It's incredibly deep as the stone begins to unfurl in the back and the form of a fire giant stands. It seems to be screaming something at you.
It's like, hurry the fuck up! The gears look like the eyes of the statue from the room.
And everyone can roll initiative because you're not responding to the giant. I don't know if anybody speaks giant, but Hellweir did when I thought of this.
of course.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't forget to click your character.
All right.
So
my
yeah.
character.
We're doing super good.
So my character is interesting in that it's not. I'm not sure if it's linking to my sheet because when I click on it, it's not having the bubbles with the hit points and everything.
Let me see. It says it should be linking to the sheet.
Okay. Well, I clicked on it. We'll see if the sheet is linked to it. Boom.
Oh, snap.
put it in. So
All right.
if we're in the astral plane, we could just fucking think ourselves over there.
You need to chill out.
So, Lucirosi, you get to go first. This creature is still yelling.
So, I mean, I'm not sure what's going on. He's yelling. Luciros is going to shout back, "We do not understand you."
Pray, can you yell louder?
Let me see if I have any spells that might be. But yeah, none. I have no spells to help with it. So that's gonna be my action for now. I'm not even gonna try and hold my action because I don't know that this is a combat.
So, Zarius, what do you want to do?
Am I on there?
I see you. I don't know why you don't see you. Yeah, for some that's weird. For some reason,
I don't see me in the initiative order, and I only have an initiative 7. So I think Aurelia should be before me.
I don't know what it's doing. All right, let's do something different. I'm going to clear this thing. We should just re-roll because I don't know how to fix this.
Oh, so convenient. When Lucirosi finally rolls well with his initiative. You have to re-roll, guys. Sorry.
Well, here you go. You may get another turn. My fire giant did even worse. Daggerface is also sad. He rolled pretty well for Daggerface.
I didn't even see Daggerface on there.
Right, I know. There were a couple people who weren't on there for some reason. Because I forgot to clear it last time. I'm sure that caused the error.
Yeah,
So it's Zarius' turn, like I said.
Okay, well, I wasn't really expecting anything like this. What's the range on this? Oh, he's probably too far away from me. Let's see where he's at. Yeah, 70 feet at its closest. All right.
He's 70 feet, but he's also at his highest about like 45 feet lower than you. I would point out you can all see pretty clearly that if you back up, he's going to have a hard time seeing where exactly you are.
Okay.
But if you're near the edge of this disc, he probably can figure out where you are.
Then, well, I can't hit him with any of my stuff. None of my good stuff, at least. Let's see. Yeah. I'll just, I'm going to take a step back, I guess, towards the, or actually, you know what? I'll go 5, 10, 15, 20. I'll go to this side. Now, I'm going to look at these gears. See if I can decipher anything with them.
Give me an investigation check.
Oh, yeah. I'm real good at that. Baffling.
Yeah,
Baffled.
You're not sure. I mean, I would say you did make the connection with, they look sort of like the image of the eyes.
Yeah. That's my perception. That's not my investigation.
Right. But, looking at them now, they look like they're freaking heavy. They're big. Like that's 5 feet across.
Yeah.
The bigger ones are bigger than that. So you're guessing they must weigh, unless it's like some magic involved, they must weigh a lot. And you're feeling full gravity where you are right now.
Okay.
And I will just remind, that is what the face looked like.
Yeah, I remember it. I have it open still. Or I brought it open. That was a unusual looking shape, so it stuck out to me. Okay, well, I don't really. That's probably an action to do that investigation. So,
yep.
I won't worry about a bonus action yet.
So, Aurelia, what are you doing?
I really can't reach him with anything, and nobody's attacked this guy, so I don't know. Is there still a figure in the middle?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to back away.
T-Hole, don't you have magic that you've used before to understand creatures? Perhaps you can use that now.
Well, I could, but it would take about 10 minutes to cast it, and I don't think we have quite 10 minutes to spare.
Why would it take so long?
Well, I don't have it prepared, unfortunately. And as you may be aware, wizards such as myself only have a select number of spells that they can cast at any given time immediately. The others require more preparation. Teal, I'm going to go over to and look over at the gemstones. And I see that there's an orange gemstone, or 2 orange gemstones anyway.
Right.
I'm going to cast Fireball at the orange gemstone.
Okay. So you go ahead and cast it. There is an explosion. It doesn't seem as though it affects any of these things, though.
Or not Fireball, I meant Firebolt. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, then you hit it. It just doesn't seem like it has any effect on it. I mean, you see that it moves a little bit, maybe, when it's hit by it. Like, these things are not securely attached.
Interesting. Well, that goes that theory anyway.
What did you do?
I cast Firebolt on the orange one. I was thinking perhaps they were tied to schools of magic, or at least types of magic.
I thought something maybe like that too, but yeah.
At least orange isn't fire.
It does repeat the colors.
Well,
yellow, orange, blue, green, purple. Yellow, orange, blue, green, purple.
But also, interestingly enough, looking at the face, if we just turn the face around, it's the gears and maybe the nose, and then maybe that the belly represented the dome. But anyways, with Lucerosi's turn, if T-Hole, I don't know if you're done.
T-Hole's done.
So with Lucerosi's turn, he's gonna just continue to focus on this giant and try to make an insight check to see if he can gather any inkling about this creature's body language or whatever.
Sure, make an insight check. You're sure that from his general body language, the fact that he does have a sword in hand and was that way when he formed, he was probably issuing some sort of challenge, whatever he was saying specifically, and he seems to be displeased.
Well,
you could tell he is officially hostile and probably going to attack or take some hostile action.
If so, with my insight check, would I be able to determine that it was like a single combat challenge?
You wouldn't necessarily be able to tell what the challenge was. He's
Yeah.
not. It could have been that. It could have been like state the password or die. You're not really sure.
Okay. So at that point, I would call out to everybody, get ready. This thing is getting ready to attack. And then Lucirosi would then prepare, since I assume that the insight check was probably in action.
Yeah. Daggerface will move. He'll move up next to you. Anything he can actually do? It's a little too far. So yeah, I guess he will move one step back so that he's not necessarily in direct line of sight of this thing. So you see in the giant's hand, Lucirosi sees, because Lucirosi is the only one at the edge. In the giant's hand appears a large boulder that it hurls at Lucirosi. I can get to it. It's a 29 hit. I would assume so. So yes, you get pelted with a rock. And it's Zarius' turn again.
I still can't hit this guy. That's at least closer. So, yeah. Double check some things. Snaps to 60 feet.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. He didn't get the 29. He got the 16. You're outside his normal rock range.
Oh, so then it missed.
Yes, it flew just past you.
Thank God. That was a lot of damage.
That's a touch attack. Okay, I'm not going to do that one. Yeah, I'll. I don't. Can I see if it test if we're in the astral plane and like will myself to be up 5 feet?
Sure, since that's just an act of will. You do not float up 5 feet, though.
Okay.
You, as we all do from time to time, attempt to Jedi-like just
fly.
move.
Yeah. This is not how it's done, according to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Flying is just the act of falling and forgetting to hit the ground. I don't know. I guess I'll continue to look at these fucking things until something else happens or until he gets closer.
Really? He just threw a rock at me.
Yeah,
You heard it smash.
I can't hit him. He's too fucking far away. Pull him closer. In the meantime, I'm going to continue to sort of look at these things, I guess.
Okay. If you want to make another investigation check.
Yeah. A little bit better.
So noticing as you did that the colors repeat, you also this time notice that They appear to all be silver on one side, except for the blue one, and then they all appear to be blackened on the other side, except for the blue one.
Right. Okay. Can we move those? Swap the two blues.
I don't know. Can you?
Not from here.
Then I suggest that you find a way over. Meanwhile, we have a giant trying to throw stones at us. I think we have priority as to which needs our attention.
As they're having that conversation, Aurelia, what do you want to do?
Not a. Let's see here. Not a whole lot I can do. Just threw a rock at us, and we saw it miss, right?
Yes.
And the person over there, do they look stone, or are they just frozen in place, or?
You can't see that person at the moment because you're too far back on the platform.
Okay.
And so the giant can't even see you, and it's pretty tall. But from what you noticed of it, it looked like it wasn't moving, so it looked like it was stone. It's definitely standing up.
Are we feeling the heat of the fire at all?
Yeah, you could definitely feel that fire is pretty hot.
Yeah, we could. I release it from its stone prison, and then it gets burned up from the fire, so it's probably not a good idea.
Quick, somebody cast Tsunami.
I'm going to give Zarius inspiration.
There's your first.
All right.
What is it, a D6 or E8 or?
It's a good question.
What level bard are you?
9.
Your full 9th level? So it is a D8. 10th level, it goes up to D10.
Nice.
You said
So that was yep.
Okay.
Are you full bard?
Yes, I'm full bard.
Yeah.
Probably just didn't level up last time. Too busy with the flowers.
Damn it.
Took a level of botany.
Yep.
Give me a second.
So that was a bonus action. Do you want to do anything with your action?
I don't know. I don't think communicating with this thing is going to make a difference. I'm going to walk over here and look at the tunnel, make sure nothing's coming up from the tunnel.
Yeah, you don't see anything coming up from the tunnel.
Okay. I'll
Keyhole.
hang here.
So, how far down is the skull, like, from where we are? Like, if
right below you, the skull isn't. But over here, it's about 60 to 65 feet, depending on where exactly you land. I would point out that you can see the giant from where you are. You're close enough to the edge of the disc that you could see him. Zarius is just sort of outside, just protected by the rim.
But even if he didn't, you'd hear the fire, the boulder. Well, I think we have to move that black and switch I think you're right, Zarius. We might have to switch those blue ones. Alas. Unless we got down there's no way to do it. Also, that giant seems pretty intent on hurling boulders at Lucirosi.
Think?
Boy, that giant really hates Lucirosi for some reason.
Did he throw another one?
No.
Okay.
It's like, did anybody see The Jerk? Like,
No.
oh, the cans. He's shooting at the cans. Got to get away from the cans.
Oh, yeah.
So Teal's gonna go next to Lucirosi, and he's going to attempt to cast Dispel Magic on this fire ring.
Okay, so you cast Dispel Magic. It doesn't affect the fire, though.
Ah, shucks.
Yeah, I won't make you roll because it's just not magic.
Well, that fire isn't magical.
Okay.
Then it can only be mechanical.
Yes, I think the answer to shut it off is probably in those gears. And also, the thing I'm afraid of is if we don't shut off that fire, any damage that we do to that creature, the fire may heal it. It looks to be a creature of fire who would thus be healed by such things.
Certainly doesn't seem to be phased by the fire.
Right. So I'm hesitant to deal too much damage to it until we can negate these effects. We might have to see if we can just dodge the boulders for a little while.
Or pull him out.
That too. And that's my turn.
Right. Lucirosi, what are you doing?
Well, from my insight check, it appeared like it wanted to. It was some kind of challenge that it was calling for, right?
Yes.
So,
When I say challenge, I don't necessarily mean it was like calling for a fight. Like I said, it may have been calling for a password
right.
to see if you have the right to be here.
So then Lucirosi is going to go with the universal sign or the universal language of basically come at me, bro. Um
21st century Fox, or
Yes.
Shut it down. Shut it all down.
So I don't know if I could make like a intimidation check or something to like demonstrate that I'm calling it out to try and draw it out from that circle of fire.
Sure, I would allow you to make an intimidation check. Just
Okay.
figure out what he has to do.
oh, look
I
at the
guess-
little kitty.
Yeah.
Well, first let me see if he understands what it is you're essentially challenging him and not simply trying to communicate. He beat your intimidation check, so he does not move. He probably will step forward, though.
So you said that it's probably like 60 feet down.
Yeah.
All right. What? I'll use my bonus action to activate my Radiant Soul ability. So a flash of light erupts from my back, revealing 2 wings of angelic energy, and then I will jump down to the ground below.
Okay. So yeah, you're able to cover that distance pretty fast. Basically falling. So you move more or less. That takes about, let's say, 10 feet of your actual movement.
And then I will then. So that from down there, does it? Because this is on an edge, right? So then I disappear basically from the giant's perspective, and it disappears from mine. Is that accurate?
Not exactly. You can still see the giant, and it can still see you. You could move a little bit to the side and get out of its line of sight if you wanted to, though. You're essentially sitting on the orbit of the eye at this point.
Right. So then I will move this way, because then I figure if the giant comes towards me, if anybody is going to try and fiddle with the gears, I'll draw it away from them.
Okay. So you're staying within its line of sight then?
I can't move much more than 20 feet more anyways.
Dagger face would. See.
Did you do aid this morning?
I did not.
All right. Just confirming.
I figure that 2nd level spell slot will be better used as a smite or something.
So you hear roar, and then wham! He just falls flat on his face. It looks like he actually got more banged up than he was expecting.
Yeah, that's a lot of max dice there.
Yeah.
Half of them.
So he is laying on his face and says, "Ow!" And he doesn't even get up this turn.
God.
The giant, since you roared at it, you see another rock appears in its hand and it hurls it at you, Lucerosi.
Jesus
That
Christ.
time he hits.
Yeah.
Damn.
Plus 13.
And then he starts to move out, making it to about there. Zarius.
Well, I can actually do something here. Let's see here. Yeah, so I'll I can't really, I don't know if I can't get down there safely. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And then from here I can see Daggerface on his face.
Yes.
But that's fine. Kept considering what I would do with these gears, but well, this guy's come out. We kind of need to deal with him. I'm gonna do Ray of Enfeeblement on the creature. Oh, okay. I got to roll an attack roll. I didn't do that. Attack. Sorry. Oh, you fucking kidding me. I'm going to inspiration that motherfucker.
Well, it's a natural 1.
Do you mean action point?
Yeah, that's what I want. What did I say?
Inspiration.
Yeah. Right.
Which you do have. You have
Right.
inspiration
Right.
still from...
Right. Try that again. Oof. With a D8.
I mean, you can
make it.
tell this thing is pretty heavily armored.
Yeah. I'm not going to... Yeah. Even if I roll max on a D8, that's only going to make it an 18. I don't think that's quite going to make it through. So, yeah, I'll just miss for now.
I mean, I will tell you, if you rolled an 8, you would hit him,
Okay.
but only an 8.
Yeah, I'll wait. I'll just miss for now, and I'll try it again later. I don't really have much else for bonus action, so that'll be it for now.
Okay. Aurelia, it's your turn.
Up here, and I'm gonna use Vicious Mockery. How you like that, mister?
Okay. So what's the save?
Wisdom.
So what mockery are you hurling at him? Oh. Still, what mockery were you hurling at him? Hey, he still could decide to hurl a rock at you next turn.
Say, liar, liar, your sword's on fire.
You're probably safe from that rock. His sword is actually on fire.
Part of that fact. But it does burn when he swings.
T-Hole, it's your turn.
Teal's going to move to the corner here, and he will... Oh, yeah. I'm going to cast Lightning Bolt.
Okay. He failed.
All right, so it didn't do the damage for me, so that's pretty sweet. I'll roll that. 8d6. That's not bad.
So he
20.
reels back, being hit by this lightning bolt.
All right.
He gives a look up to the platform again, like maybe you're worth a rock. But it is Lucia Rosie's turn after that. Well, unless you have a bonus action or something.
No.
Or you wanted to move.
Nah. I'm safe on this platform. For now.
Okay. So is he still within the radius of the fire?
You could move up to him. He's partially in the fire, yes.
Okay.
But you wouldn't necessarily have to be standing in the fire yourself to attack him at this point.
Okay. So my first action will be to use lay on hands to heal 38 points, bringing me back up to full. And then I'm going to use my bonus action to enter rage. And then let's see how far he is from me. Oh, I can get right to him. So then I'm going to go into his face. And then I'm going to use an action point to take another action.
Okay.
And then get my 2 attacks in there. So, oh, I forgot to put my rage on. And then, and then there's another. So, okay. So with the critical, I have also, because I'm raging, I have an additional 2 damage, and with my Radiant Soul ability, I deal an additional 9 radiant damage.
Okay. So you lay into him. The first shot misses, but the second shot...
Also on the critical, I'm going to use a 2nd level smite. I forgot.
Okay.
So then that would be... I assume he's not a fiend.
No.
So is the smite damage rolled and then also maxed as well?
Yes.
Okay, so then that's 3d8. So that's 24 plus the 16.
Okay. So you can go. He's still, for him, unhappy, but he's, not going down at the moment. But you could go ahead and describe this swing as you took a huge chunk of his health away from him.
So Lucirosi cries out with one of his roars, wielding a Regia's sword high as he lunges for him, flying into his face. Misses the first time, but then nicks him right across the face, drawing blood and making Lucirosi smile. And then as that happens, he unleashes the righteous fury of Asheros through the blade into the wound.
So you nearly, with this one wound, drive him to a knee, but he catches himself. But now he is looming over you, nearly 3 times as tall as you are. Daggerface pulls himself up to his feet, charges forward 15 feet, and uses the javelin.
Sorry, that was a lot longer than I thought.
Daggerface's javelin comes flying over your shoulder, and the creature catches it and snaps it. And then proceeds to attack you with his sword, which is, as was noted by Aurelia, on fire.
Unfortunately, you're just out of range. I cannot stop a critical on you.
So
T-Hole is calling for an unseen servant.
Attend to me.
19 divided is,
10 to me in my hour of need.
4, So Lucia Rossi kind of laughs at the giant, expecting it to be much worse, given his size and how he's trying to stand over him.
That's all he's doing this turn. Zarius, it's your turn.
Yeah, all right. I'm just gonna guiding bolt, I believe. Base level. Jesus Christ. All right, now I'm gonna roll the inspiration. Roll 1d8. Hey, all right.
So
Nice.
inspired by Aurelia, your bolt finds its mark and hits him.
And the next melee attack will have advantage, or a weapon attack. Which one is it? The next attack roll, that's right, made against him will have advantage.
Aurelia, your turn.
So do I think this that huge fire sword is probably magical, or is it just he's a fire elemental giant with a flaming sword?
You can't be sure. I mean, you're aware that there are fire giants that have elementally infused swords that aren't themselves considered magical.
Okay.
It's also not usually the case that you can just disenchant magic weapons. You know, without like action points. With action points, you can do virtually anything.
Okay. I'm going to cast within range. So centered, not around, like behind him, but I'm going to cast Shatter on him.
Okay. So what kind of save is that for him? Con?
It's con.
Do you want to cast Shatter on him or on his sword?
Because if it's magical, it may not work. I'll just cast it on him. At least he'll have to take some damage.
I don't think you can cast Shatter on attended objects.
Yeah, you can. They just get a saving throw, I think.
Inorganic material such as stone, crystal, or metal has disadvantage. So I don't know if he has disadvantage or not.
He is not himself inorganic.
Okay. So yeah, it's con save. Oh yeah, he easily made it. So he takes half damage.
Oh, a non-magical object that isn't being worn or carried also takes the spell's damage. So it's attended. So yeah, you're right.
So you take, what, 7?
Yep, thunder damage.
Yeah.
So there's the loud peal of thunder rings through this place. And you can see it. It makes him grip his head with his free hand. But then he's still looming over Lucia Rossi. T-Hole, it's your turn.
I'm going to use a bonus action to inspire Lucia Rossi.
Nice.
T-Hole's going to cast Magic Missile.
Okay, what's the damage?
Solid 7.
Still they come and pelt him.
Chipping just little bits off of his exterior.
You took his hair out of that top knot.
And that's my turn.
So Lucia Rossi,
right.
your first attack will have advantage.
Yep. So First attack. Ooh.
Advantage doesn't help that first attack, though.
You got inspiration.
Yeah, so I'm going to use the inspiration on that first one. Maybe I can
Okay. D8.
do something with it. So, no.
Ugh.
All right, and then second attack, and then also with thoughts.
Brutal.
So as your blows come in, you see he's easily able to catch the edge of your sword with his sword and then reaches out a hand to grip your much smaller hand as you try to punch him. And then just starts laughing at you. Since you laughed at him.
I can't have that, so I'm going to use another action point to do 2 more attacks.
Roll better. There we go.
And then both of those attacks are going to include smite, both at second level, so that I can make him eat his laugh. So then 2. Oh, wait a minute. Don't add the rage radiant damage to those, obviously. But to the other attacks, yeah.
Okay. So you slice into his torso and you can see black blood begins to spill out. But he yells something out in whatever language he was speaking. It sounds a bit like the grinding of 2 boulders together and still seems defiant. Daggerface is going to run up and attack. He hits on the second one. So his axe comes down and, doesn't come anywhere close to doing as much damage as you just did. That's a little much. The fire giant ignores Daggerface.
Yeah, reasonable.
Yeah. So both attacks come down on Busharosi's head.
9 minus 2. 10. So Lucirosi is he's not feeling great, but he's still well into the fight.
But then, as he hits you twice, he uses his reaction to attempt to. First, you have to make me an opposed grapple check with him.
Okay, I normally have advantage on my athletics checks.
He grabs you with his free hand and flings you into the fire.
Okay.
And let's see. You take that much fire damage.
Okay. Lucirosi is in pain, but he smiles knowing he must have hurt that guy.
He then leans over and is now staring into the eyes of Daggerface. But it's Zary's turn. I can't hear you if you're talking, Tony.
Yeah, sorry. I was lamenting my unfortunate selection of spells for this particular scenario. There's no real safe way of getting down from here, so what's this range? 60 feet, okay. So first I will do Toll the Dead. 16 DC 16 wisdom save.
Yep. Made it.
That motherfucker.
Damn.
All right, and then this'll fuck it. Let's see what happens. No, wait, that's a spell. My bad. I was gonna do this one. Man.
Thought
Yeah.
you were going to use Keen Mind for a second there.
It's always up my sleeve.
I'm gonna do spiritual weapon at 4th level.
Okay.
Looks like I hit.
Yep.
Not entirely sure what it's rolling there. 0.49 times 2 D8. I don't. It should be extra D8 for every 2 levels of this spell. So it should be 2. Yeah. So it got it. Yeah. Looks like a hit. So.
Yep, it definitely hit. Did I give you control of that scythe? Did I add that to the thing, or did I
Let
not
me
do that?
let me see.
I did not actually add the
No.
scythe.
I got the torch.
There it was.
Which the torch is probably sitting on the ground over here or something. I was holding on to it.
We'll put the scythe there and give you control of it.
It added in like the torch, and I can just drag it on whenever I cast it.
Yeah, I'll do that. That's just that takes a minute or two, so I won't do it right now.
Yeah, that's fine. Alrighty. I'll take a step back. Just a step.
Aurelia, it's your turn.
All right. I'm going to cast Tasha's Hideous Laughter on it.
Nice. That's a
What's
30-foot
this?
range.
Is it? Oh,
Yep.
hell spells. I guess I'm not. All right. All right. I'm going to go with Dissonant Whispers then.
So is there a save for this?
Yeah. I think it's Wisdom save.
So he failed, so he takes the damage. He already used his reaction, so he can't use his reaction to move.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Heal. Unless you want to inspire someone.
I'm going to hold on to that for right now.
I'm going to use one of my portent rolls. I rolled a 20 and a 6.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to use my 20 as I do a lightning bolt.
Okay. You don't need to use a 20 with a lightning bolt. You should use
It's a
your
save.
if you want him to fail, you should use your 6 and make him fail.
Oh, that's right. You know what? Yes, you know what? I'll use my 6. You're right. I'll save the 20 for.
I was just making sure you were paying attention.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. You use your 20. He dodges.
Damn it.
Yeah, use that 20 whenever I make him vulnerable to the next attack.
So
So
I'll
let's
use.
roll your damage. He fails because you make him fail.
Ugh, gross. 21 lightning damage.
So you can see he still reels back from that. Lucia Rossi, it's your turn.
Well,
Having been flung, you are currently prone.
I'm flying.
Oh,
I
okay.
have
Well,
wings.
you would have been prone, but you're right. That's fine. You're flying. You realize if you end your turn here, you're going to take more fire damage.
Oh yeah. So I'm going to move right there, and that's going to be a double move. So I then stare menacingly at the giant as I begin to ready my next attack on my next turn.
Okay. Daggerface swings his axe. Oh, Daggerface not having a good day. The giant steps past Daggerface, but as he steps past him, takes a swing at him, and then walks up to Lucia Rossi and uses his second swing.
All right. Minus. Thank
And then
God for rage.
He again uses his reaction to try to grab and fling you.
Really.
Hey. Oh,
I have advantage.
Advantage.
He has advantage. So he tries to grab you, but you are able to hold firm in midair as he just yanks on your arm and is surprised to see you're not moving.
By the blessings of Ashros, I will not budge.
And it's Zarius' turn again.
By the way, I'm at 24 hit points.
Okay. I can't get to you.
No, I know. I'm just letting people know where I'm at with this.
Daggerface yells back, Zarius, gravity works fine, just jump.
Make sure to fall on your bad leg.
Yes, I know. I saw you on your face. Son of a bitch. Okay. Well, I guess first things first. My how are you at? Spiritual weapon. There you are. Well, swing at it.
Hits.
Perfect. And then, wait, I gotta actually move forward here. I'm gonna try it again, I guess. I'm gonna throw a ray of enfeeblement at it. Come on, fuck yeah! Nice. If we could bane him, that would be super handy.
You gotta get within 30 feet.
Is that the
So
range?
what's the effect of Ray of Enfeeblement?
His melee attacks do half damage, I guess. Oh, I didn't actually put the card out.
Right.
So on a hit, the target deals only half damage with weapon attacks that use strength until the spell ends. At the end of his turn, he can make a con save to end it. So
Okay.
we'll probably get one round out of this.
Hey, that might keep Lucirosi alive for more rounds.
So
Just give him that 20.
don't give him that 20.
So Aurelia.
All right. It's going to have to be Vicious Mockery again.
What are you yelling at him this time?
I already failed. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. You might have a big sword, but it smells like your butt.
She specializes in like slant rhymes. They're not like full on rhymes. They just mostly rhyme.
So he roars at that. He didn't actually understand it, but he feels humiliated.
I don't know what you said, but I'm going to take it as a sign of disrespect.
That's right. He is not a fan, maybe, of slant rhymes. Maybe that's what got him. T-hole.
So, if T-hole jumps, can I cast Misty Step to avoid taking falling damage? Like, as I'm falling?
I normally say that requires an action point to use it that way. I mean, you could, because Misty Step has, there is Featherfall there for a reason. So Misty Step and Dimension Door have ranges. I don't think they were intended to be used to negate fall damage at the last minute, like some sort of weird parachute.
Yeah. I was just curious.
Plus, I think the calculation is that technically in the first round of falling, you would fall like 150 feet.
Right. Well, really, the Xanathar's Guide has an even weirder rule where in the first round you instantly fall the entire distance.
Is that what it was? I thought it was like 500 feet.
Well, it is. If you don't hit bottom, they say that's how far you fall.
Yeah. For me, it's 150 then 500 because it does accelerate rather quickly.
He also has disadvantage on his next attack roll.
Right.
Okay.
You haven't taken any damage.
I would say this for purposes of this fight. If you wanted to do that and you made a DC 15 dexterity save, you would avoid the damage.
All right, so Teal's gonna try his luck. He's gonna look over the edge and be like, "All right," and he will jump. And as he gets 50, 40, 30, 20 feet, he's gonna try to do Misty Step and then kind of teleport closer to the giant and also stop himself.
Do his robes bellow out and reveal his naked body as he is falling through the air?
I assume he periodically opens the robe.
Yeah, he doesn't need much of an occasion to open it up. So I'll make that back. Acrobatics, you said? Or a straight dash?
I said a dexterity save, but I'd let you use acrobatics. It's just a question of, can you time this well enough that you don't hit the ground? Because you really have like a fraction of a second before you hit the ground.
That's true.
It's like with my one friend in high school. He decided that he could jump from a roof as long as he tucked and rolled. He jumped from the roof. He landed, said "ow," and then rolled.
All right. So,
But you can place yourself anywhere within 30 feet of like right in front of you. But
So
unfortunately, you cast the spell and then appear, but still have the full force of the fall that hits you.
so as T-Hole hits the ground, he like just hits it hard. And he's got a gash in his forehead. His arms are all cut up, and he's bleeding. So
Like Skid.
So I think that was your bonus action, right?
yeah. But I can't cast any more spells,
Cantrip.
cantrips.
You can
So-
use the staff.
No, isn't that a spell? Doesn't that
I
count
mean,
as
to
a
use
spell?
object. I don't know.
I would let you use the staff.
With Bane?
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'm gonna Bane the giant then.
Is that a charisma save?
I think so. Let me pull it up.
I will
Bane is
Post it there.
charisma.
Yeah, charisma. Should be DC 16. Son of a cocksucker.
Yeah, he just makes it.
Can I use cutting words?
I'm
Ooh.
Does it work on saves?
not sure if it does.
Attack roll, ability check, or damage roll. So I guess not a save.
If you wanted to use an action point.
Well, hell yeah.
Just don't roll a 1.
All right. I believe it's a D8.
Yeah, so what cutting words do you yell? So this is the pain of playing a bard. You don't have to actually respond every time I ask this, but I usually find it funny.
Careful now. I say, careful now. This bitch is in heat.
What are we
So-
talking about?
With the distraction provided by Aurelia, the bane takes effect.
Indeed. And that'll be Teal's turn.
Lucia Rossi, it's your turn.
All right. I'm gonna proceed to whack. Boom, boom, boom.
Nice.
Nice. So that crit, I am definitely using level 1 smite. Let me mark that having been used. And then, all of them hit. Very,
Yep.
very nice. So then I'm gonna. Is he still up with? Well, I wouldn't know that before I use the smite. So I'm gonna use another smite with the second attack as well.
So do these all get Radiant Soul?
Okay, so the Radiant Soul and the Rage are only added to the attack, so they're not added to the smite as well. So
Okay.
so
I deal the 23 slashing damage, and then I'm assuming that the rage and radiant damage get doubled as well.
Yeah.
So that's then an additional 22 there, and then the 17 damage for the second one, 16 damage for the third one, and then that first smite is 7 plus 24 because that was the crit. And then the second smite is just 5 radiant damage. So the rage and the radiant aren't added to those.
Okay. So still dead. So he is still up, but he is extremely bloodied and swooning a bit from as much blood as he's lost.
Lucius yells, "Ha
And Daggerface will attack. It's on the second one. So creature is still up. Well, it's not doing particularly well, but it is going to go out attacking Lucirosi, if anyone.
His first
Of
attack
course.
is disadvantage, I believe.
Yeah, because of the vicious mockery. And then they're
Yep.
all
So that one misses, and the second one misses because whatever your AC is, he has minus 1d4. Oh, and enfeeblement. I forgot about enfeeblement.
Mm-hmm.
So he is again going to try to grab you and throw you into the fire.
Okay. Going in the fire. Probably gonna die.
So you land just short of the rock in the back and take that much fire damage.
Oh, okay. I still have 12 more hit points left. Yay.
And that's his turn, but he gets to make a con save against the ray of enfeeblement.
And a charisma for the Bane. So.
I think Bane.
Yeah, Bane just
doesn't-
lasts until.
Oh, that's
he
right.
breaks.
That's right. Yeah.
So the ray of enfeeblement, he breaks. Zarius, it's your turn.
Son of a fucker. All right. Yeah. A big bastard. All right. So let's go ahead and throw my spiritual weapon at it. That's a miss.
Yep.
But then we'll go ahead and hit it with a Toll of the Dead. Wisdom save. Really? Only a fucking 6? You kidding me? 2 1s. Oh, he failed.
He failed. So you hear the bell ring out. You see his skin is starting to just split around his chest underneath his armor, but he is still standing.
All right. So this area right here, it's still 60 feet down.
Yes.
What if I were to, like, run a jump? Can I get to a higher place?
I mean, it's all pretty far below. You could probably get it's most of the area that's within, say, 10 feet is about 60 feet down. If you get clear more than 10 feet, you could probably hit a higher area. You might be able to get to a spot that's only like 50 feet.
Okay. Well, I mean,
it's a pretty good distance to get to like the bridge of the nose. That the 50-foot jump out would be impressive.
I'll I'll just take it. I'll jump down. I don't know if I can mitigate the damage in any way, but what are you doing? Stop rolling well above average. What are you doing? 24. Okay.
Really, it's your turn.
All right. Vicious Mockery again.
What are you yelling at him this time?
Ashes to dust, dust to gas. You're so ugly, you should wear a mask.
Sick burn, dude.
And
Ooh.
he looks incredibly hurt, almost like he understood what you were saying. And you see, although he is a creature of fire, a tear starts to come down his cheek, and as it does, it smokes rolling across his skin, creating like this one little cold patch that hits one of the cracks in his chest as it falls off. The crack begins to expand, and like a stone splitting in the heat, he breaks apart into several chunks.
Oh, that's perfect. That was the sickest of burns.
Get out of the fire.
Yeah, that's what. Believe me, I have no joy being here.
He
So
was so ugly that everyone died. The end.
Daggerface, get out of the way. It falls on you.
I'm gonna fly over by Daggerface, avoiding the falling creature, and then with that, Lucios is gonna collapse to one knee.
T-Hole's gonna run up to him and say, "Are you okay?"
He's like steaming in his armor. His hair has been all singed away. His mane is really just a scraggly mess. And he's kind of coughing. He's coughing up blood as there are many dents in the armor that he was wearing as he took those hits from the giant.
Zarius, get down here. Jump if you need to. Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Well,
I
T-Hole's
like it that T-Hole still yells that.
Well, see that T-Hole was focusing on the giant. He wasn't really looking behind. So he probably would have done that, and then he would have looked up and then looked behind. Oh, hey.
I mean, you probably heard of a thud of this enormous fucking dragonborn falling behind you.
So Luciosi's wings fade, and he has his hand begins to glow golden light, and he touches his chest, and at least his mane is restored. As I heal 11 points of hit points.
Daggerface is sort of staring at the edge of the fire. He has a hand up, just feeling the heat. It is very intense. You couldn't even necessarily just stand as close as you guys are now, and not eventually have to make a con save for heat exhaustion. But for a limited exposure, it's not that troublesome.
So Lucirosi, he looks up at Xerius and T-Hole, and he's like, now is probably a good time to fiddle with your stones. He doesn't realize what he just said as being potentially dirty.
Zarius wouldn't either.
But Well,
I don't know that Zarius has external stones to fiddle with.
Teal will be like, well, it's always a good time to fiddle with your stones. But we'll go take a look at those over there.
So Lucirosi uses Aregia's sword to prop himself up to stand. And as he does so, you see him sway and nearly fall back down, but he catches himself.
Daggerface wanders over to these gears at near what would have been the teeth.
Yeah. That's what I would do that as well.
Are you going to be okay, Lucirosi? You should just rest a minute.
I will be okay. Let's worry about freeing our prisoner first.
Seeing you limp over here, I'll apply a portion of the Kyotum's ointment, I guess.
All right, so 2d8 plus 2?
Yeah.
All right. 10 hit points. Nothing to sneeze at. If it weren't for my resistance with rage, I would have died long, long ago. Barbarian investment was the best thing Luciosi's done ever.
I would say when I put this together, I didn't realize that you guys apparently have this big problem with ranged combat, because I was sort of imagining people would like move to the edge, shoot an arrow, move back. Giant wouldn't necessarily know where you were. He wouldn't want to necessarily come out, so he'd just be blindly throwing rocks. Like I said, though, I also did sort of plan this out when you had Hellweir and he had a bow.
And Kajika with a gun.
Right.
Lucirosi has a bow.
I did in part set this up, measuring out like how easy it would be for Kajika to fire, and that this guy was going to have disadvantage with all of his rocks, assuming he could figure out where to throw it. But both of you are really competent range guys left.
It also happens that a lot of T-Hole's distance spells are all fire based.
Yeah, that would have been poor choice.
Yeah, that wouldn't have worked out so well.
So, but
so Zarius will then attempt to I guess he'll use like I don't know what I might have.
How heavy are these gems again? Like, how heavy do they look?
They vary in size. Now that you're down with them, you realize that they are, other than the sort of central gemstone in the middle, they are about 4 feet tall. So you don't know if they're solid or what they are, but clearly they weigh. The big ones are probably way too heavy to move, but even the blue ones that you were talking about moving probably weigh more than 700 pounds.
Okay, sure. Do they look like they're affixed to the skull here?
You can see from fiddling with them that they do slide up and out. Like they're not permanently fixed in. They're prevented from falling off the edge, but very little more.
And now what we see here almost looks dangerous, like it's unstable magic. Is that also the case?
What you see where?
Like just in the little animations on the stuff.
There is what appears to be colored lightning that's sparking from the central gem to the edges. You know, it doesn't necessarily look like the lightning goes underneath, but who knows what happens when the metal absorbs the lightning.
Does it look like we can move them without having to touch the gem itself then?
Without having to touch the gem, certainly. You'd have to reach underneath it, probably, to move it. But you'd have to touch the body of the thing, unless you have some other way of doing it.
What if we tie ropes around them?
Maybe.
Is there anything? Does it look like we can fasten the ropes on like the edges? Like
you might be able to fasten the ropes to some of the projections, but the projections are really on the top.
Yeah.
So doing that without touching it probably wouldn't be possible. Without touching the top.
Well, are we sure that this magic is even lethal if one were to touch it? I assume that this was meant to be moved. It seems to be related to the structure, I would think, over there.
Yeah. I recall Mordenkainen was quite fond of telekinesis, which would easily be able to lift these gemstones.
Well, Lucirosi is going to just kind of experimentally touch the edge, not the top where the lightning is, but maybe the outside edge.
You touch the outside edge and nothing happens.
Okay. I'm gonna slowly reach my hand up closer towards the lightning effect. Do I get some kind of tingle or anything as it gets closer that I might be able to react to?
You notice that as you bring your hand closer, the arcs of the lightning do start to group around the spot where your hand is.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than hitting random spots around the edge, they seem like they're being attracted to your hand.
Okay. All right. Maybe we should try to avoid touching it.
These do look heavy. I can assist us.
Oh?
What do you
Magically.
mean?
And magically with our strength.
How would you do that?
Full strength.
Oh. Who can you affect with that spell?
Perhaps you and I. We are the stronger ones here.
The giant did take a lot out of me, but I will do my best. And Lucirosi prepares for whatever magic that you're about to bestow upon him.
Right. We'll do enhance ability at 3rd level. So then we'll do bull strength on you and I. Lucirosi and Zarius. So our carry capacity is doubled, and we have advantage on strength checks for an hour. As long as I concentrate on it. So we'll see what happens.
All right, so I have 18 strength.
I have a 16, so 18.
Isn't it times 15
30.
is your
Yeah, so
normal
it'd be
carrying
times 30
capacity?
with this, so 540 for you right now.
Okay.
Minus 480. So it's, yeah.
So
I mean, actually, I think you're mistaken. I think it's 15 is encumbrance, your encumbrance limit under the normal encumbrance rules. Push, drag, or lift is 30 times.
It's the 30
So
times that. Yeah, I mean,
It's 60 times your strength score. So Lucirosi could do this by himself. Zarius. Take a load off your feet.
Well, I'll probably still do the third level just because if I do second level, I'll have none left. Spread it out a little bit. Yeah.
All right. Well, so Lucirosi, feeling invigorated by the spell, tries to limp through the pain that he feels in his joints from his recent battles and attempts to lift the stone.
I'll lift the other one, I guess. Right. I'll let him lift one first just to be sure it doesn't arc off.
So reaching underneath, it's still, because of the size of it, it's still 5 feet across. It is incredibly unwieldy to lift it directly up from essentially just one side of it. But you are able, with the help of the spell, to overpower it and sort of slide it up against the bracket that is keeping it from falling off the edge until you can eventually get under it enough to hold it up. But you essentially have to almost crawl underneath of it. So it is like on your back.
Okay.
So what do you want to do with it?
I'll move the other one.
So are we just switching the spots of these two?
Yep, that's what you're doing. Here, and then T-Hole starts supervising.
There's a lot of lift with your legs.
Yeah. I've got 3 flights of stairs, and I'm on the 3rd floor of my apartment building, so I hope you're ready.
So you switch the two, and for just a second, you see all of the gems begin to flare, and suddenly the two you just moved are gone.
Okay.
Like the blue gem is gone and the placeholder with it?
The blue gem is gone, yes. The bracket is still there that would have held it in place, but the gem itself is gone.
For both of them?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Wait, this makes sense. Remember the statue? As I thought, so it's upside down. We need to put the space between the 2 large ones.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just send a message.
The space between the 2 large ones?
Yes. Do you remember the statue in the with the other treasures?
Yes, of course.
The face of the statue, it looked like these gears, right?
Yes.
What if it wasn't a face? What if it was the gears and the mouth was either that dome or the nostril of this skull? It's a indication. If there's space to separate the 2 large ones, perhaps that's the key.
There are 2 circles around the eyes, overlapping. That is on the other platform. That same symbol of the 2 circles overlapping. I don't know what that would mean here. I don't even think we can see up there right now.
No, you can't see up there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Aurelia can.
Aurelia can, yeah.
the circles
Also,
on
Aurelia, I sent you a whisper in case you didn't notice it.
Yes, well, the circles around the eyes, they may have been intersecting, but these gears were not touching at all.
Does it look like that these the two center ones could be separated just by pushing them, or would each of these things need to be moved individually, similar to the ones that we just moved?
Sorry, say that again.
So these two, does it look like that they can be separated so that there's space in between them just by pushing them apart? Or do they need to be moved over similar to how these ones needed to be moved?
You might be able to push them apart despite the brackets between them. The middle ones, though, are substantially heavier than the relatively small blue ones were. And you've got, the red and green gemstone beside those two.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're overthinking this. We put the two blue ones together. Perhaps we should put the two green ones together. And then the two orange ones.
Right. You didn't necessarily put the two blue ones together. You swapped their positions.
In the order.
That's true.
Well, it's worth a shot. I mean, unless somebody has a better idea.
T-hole.
Alas, without Mordenkainen's telekinesis, I can't be much of a help here.
Your girl up there called for you.
Yes, darling.
You see Aurelia point across to the other platform, and she says, the blue gems you just switched are on that now.
Really? Where on that platform?
Perhaps in the middle of the circles.
No, but they're basically near the topmost part of the platform. That's where Aurelia can see them. You only see the black underside of that platform.
We must get up there.
So it's about 40 feet up from where it is near the skull. There's a little bit of a gap, though, between it and the skull.
Yeah.
So if Lucia Rossi moves there, am I even with this platform?
No, it's about 40 feet higher than you if you're there.
Okay.
If you were over on the bridge of the nose, it would be about 30 feet higher.
All right.
I'm gonna look down into the crevice of the nose cavity, I guess. Is there anything in there?
There is a small gap in the back towards the top of where the nose would have been. But it looks, like a cave. It looks dark inside.
Okay. I don't know.
With my bull's strength, would that give me better jumping ability?
I think it gives you advantage on ability checks. So yes.
Ish.
Okay. Still probably not
40
realistic to jump 40 feet up.
You need like a enhanced jump spell. Something that does more than triple your jump range.
The boots of Mad Hops.
Yeah. The Jordans.
Oh. Zarius, how long does the spell that you've used last?
About an hour.
Well, we may need to be the ones to get on that platform if we need to manipulate those stones once more.
No one fly.
What?
No one fly. Magically or otherwise right now.
I have unfortunately taxed my ability to summon my heavenly wings.
And that was not a gift that I was born with.
Spells exist.
Aurelia, would we be able to use your dimension door?
Yes, Emperor T-Hole, what do you need me to do?
Well, could you open a door from here to the platform?
I can move over there if that's what you wish.
That might also work, although the gemstones might be a little heavy for you to manipulate.
Aurelia, Lucirosi calls out. You said that you could bring somebody last time.
Well, yes.
Could you bring me with you?
Yes.
Jump, I will catch you.
He's pretty big now. He can jump up and meet her and catch her, potentially, with that advantage on athletics.
I have the strength of 30 men. or Lucirosi could do this.
But it's like the Superman problem. He catches Lois.
Yeah.
He just breaks her spine.
She just falls like jelly through his arms.
Yeah, really, you should just tell Mr. Scratches to get up to you, and then you'll dimension door him over to the other platform.
Yeah.
Is there a way to climb? Is it attached to the skull there?
You don't see anything that's attached. There doesn't appear to be a way to just climb up.
Okay, so it's not like there's no wall or
Right.
anything on the edge.
I mean, you saw this platform when you were on the other one. It appears to also be pretty much just flat. It does have these symbols that are carved into it that seem to be glowing, but there don't seem to be any protruding features. I mean, you would realize all of this is pretty trivial for Mordenkainen. He can move 1,000-pound weights with telekinesis and then use telekinesis to fly himself up to the platform.
Yeah. Well,
Mordenkainen.
Lucirosi is going to go over here, and then he's going to start stripping his armor off, and removing his packs and everything. Aurelia, if I get you a rope, can you hold it while I climb?
Sure, Mr. Scratches.
Well, just wondering, what does Lucirosi weigh? Like
Oh,
without
yeah.
this equipment? 'Cause
Okay,
this is a 13-year-old girl with an 8 strength.
Yeah, and Lucirosi, I forgot how much. So Lucirosi is without his armor or anything, he's 6'4" and 350. So that's not happening. He wouldn't even try to suggest it at that point.
I mean, I would say T-Hole, because of your passive investigation, you would realize that if she had a rope and dimension doored over, she could tie it around these gemstones that weigh 700 pounds. That could easily support the weight of nearly naked Lucirosi. Whether or not she would still want to be on the platform with a nearly naked Lucirosi is a different question.
I'd probably jump too.
But there are those gemstones are 4 feet thick, 4 feet tall, I should say, and 5 feet thick. So it's more than enough to serve as an anchor if you have enough rope to fit around it, which is 20 feet of rope.
So how far jump is this?
It's
40?
about it. Well, it's which jump?
From where I am to where they are.
To where they are, it's about 60 feet down.
So I was wondering if they could do the old, get a cloak or something and both hold it and I jump into it.
I mean, I certainly would let you half the damage of the fall if somebody's going to try to catch you in some way, shape, or form.
Okay. How big is that picture? Is it as big as on there, or is it?
Yeah, it's pretty big. It's, about 8 feet long, 5 feet tall.
You're muted.
Is it like a weird? Is it like a weird version of the flying carpet and a flying painting instead?
I can show you the world.
Does anything on it look familiar, or just?
It's just a landscape. There are hills and a plain. I mean, it's very well done and pretty old, but nothing leaps out at you as being special about the painting.
Okay. I'm going to take the painting before I jump down. Take the painting and tell them I'm going to drop the painting in the hole. See if you see where it goes, and I just drop it down there.
And you see it goes spinning, flipping end over end as it falls down, and it gets smaller and smaller until eventually you can't see it anymore.
And then I run back over. Did you see it?
See what?
See what?
The painting.
We saw nothing down here. Should we have seen something?
I don't know. I look around to see if I spot it anywhere.
You do not see the painting.
Damn. Okay.
I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. So I said, catch me, and I jump.
Yeah. One of us will catch her.
Yeah.
Or both of us if
Yeah,
we...
so let's do this. All three of you roll initiative.
Oh boy.
Oh, shit. Roll low. Ah, shit.
So Aurelia, always quick, yells, catch me and jump, and then the two of you look up as she falls. Taking 20 fall damage. And you're prone.
Pick her up.
Are you okay, my dear?
You don't catch very well.
Should have jumped when I first said it.
I'm fine, Emperor T-Hole.
Good. I would hate to see you hurt.
Aurelia, can you take us to the ledge? That platform.
Take you there?
Yes.
It's a whole new world. Yep, dimension door. And we go there.
Yep. So you can move yourself to the platform.
I'll ask T-Hole if he has access to a light spell.
I do.
I'll just produce like a nutter berry from a dry ration and ask if you could cast it on here.
I suppose. And I touch it with my fingertip, and it illuminates.
I'm gonna try and throw that throw it down into that wherever I kind of saw like an opening in the nasal cavity.
Okay, let me see something.
Wrong move, man. That's a giant-sized intellect devourer in that skull.
So you throw it into the hole in the back of the skull, and you see there's some internal structure. One part of it seems to branch up in between the eye sockets in between the two eye sockets of the skull. One seems to branch down back through to the mouth. The berry bounces and falls through the mouth, and then you don't see the light anymore.
Okay.
So while they're doing that, I'm going to start moving the gem structure things in the these circles in the way that I recall them from the face of the creature or the statue.
Okay. So you place the first one in, and you place the second one in. While he's doing that, Zarius, you doing anything else?
No, I mean, I don't really have like a good way of getting down there, do I?
I mean, you could because it's a nasal cavity. It's not that deep. You could ease yourself down and slide down into the nasal cavity. Where this tunnel goes, at least the one that goes up into the skull, you're not sure. You could pretty easily avoid, falling out of the tunnel through the mouth.
I'll produce another like nutter berry and ask for another light.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
No.
Good enough for me. And he illuminates your berry.
I'm just going to kind of go down a little bit. I'm not going to like go all the way up. I'm just going to try and get a better look.
So going down into it, you can see that, like I said, there is this passage. It branches off. One goes into the skull case itself, into the cavity where the brain probably was. Mm-hmm. The other one just goes down into what would have been the throat. So the first berry fell down that particular passage and is probably just gone now.
Okay. And like the brainish area, does it look like it opens up, or?
It looks like it opens up. It's pretty big. It's substantially, like you could easily stand 1.5 of you on top of one another and walk down the passage that leads into the brain.
Okay. I'll sort of like dim the light a little bit in my palm and move a tad bit further.
So moving in, you see there is a table and chairs in there. It's pitch black except for the light that you brought with you. But there is a table and chairs, and then along the wall you see there is a small row of books. There is a cloak. Let me find out what else is there. There's various bits of jewelry that's there. There seems to be what looks to be a holy symbol of some god that's not your own. There are 2 ivory drinking horns. There's curiously perched atop one of the books what appears to be a brown glass eye, an inlaid leather scroll case. Let's see.
I'll just back out and call up and say, I believe I have found a cache of some sort.
Wonderful.
Meanwhile, has there been any change since moving the stones into the positions?
As you move the stones into the 2 circles, you see that the flames begin to die out. and the whole temple itself grows dim.
The flames have died.
Aurelia, could you transport us once more, perhaps into the temple?
You sure you want to do that?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Scratches.
Despite his natural inclination, the name is starting to grow on him. From you. If anyone else were to say that, he would become quite upset.
So you just appearing there in the temple?
Is that where you want it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You die.
Your instant death.
No, you arrive there and are fine. The temple itself doesn't appear to have been affected by the fire at all. You do see in front of you, there is a gray stone, fairly rough-hewn statue of someone who looks almost as if he was frozen in place mid-sentence. But from what you can tell, it's a bearded, wizardly type. Aurelia, you would know this is not Mordenkainen. He is entirely too tall to be Mordenkainen, and Mordenkainen was bald.
Is it a toupee?
You can't tell if it's a stone toupee. It might be. It could be an elaborate disguise.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna approach it and examine it. Do I get any sense of recognition?
No, not really. There's something familiar about him, but you can't quite place him specifically.
Is this somebody that I've met before?
You're sure you don't know his name, but he was like one of the little people.
One of the little people?
Yeah, like he was somebody who you didn't consider to be super important, but he may have been there in the background.
I don't recognize him.
Can I do an investigation check to see if there's anything about the statue that I notice or seems particularly noteworthy?
You can give me an investigation check. And T-Hole, give me an Arcana check. I mean, you would notice that although it's fairly rough, someone went to a lot of trouble to put together a lot of details on this thing. Like he is not just like in a simple robe. He seems to be sort of kitted out for traveling. And so somebody remembered to like tuck a torch into his belt and to give him a backpack. And the backpack appears to have been unfastened for some reason. T-Hole, you would be pretty sure just looking at him that this probably was somebody who was turned to stone.
Yes, I don't think this is a statue. I think this is actually someone who was petrified.
I think this might be Zerakael.
Who is that?
He is... Wow. I believe he is the former herald of Melora.
Melorta?
Melora. The elven goddess of magic. That's correct, right?
Melora is like the wife of Asheros. She created the elves, so they venerate her, but she's usually depicted as an elf.
Okay. He would have referred to her then as the Asheros' wife instead. If this is Zerakael, then we must find a way of freeing him.
Is he important?
Yes. Very important. Luceros is going to look around the temple to see if there's anything that might indicate a way of releasing him.
I mean, it doesn't appear as though his statue is fixed to the ground, but you don't see any way of releasing him from being petrified.
Emperor T-Hole, is he important?
I never heard of him.
Well, will he help us?
I believe he will.
Xerius, you said that there was a cache in the nasal cavity.
Below us in the brain, where the brain would be.
Perhaps there is some sort of journal or
There was a lot.
Perhaps there's something along that can help explain why he is in the state that he currently is in, as well as the ability to undo it.
I believe it is where he likely studied or worked.
Is this temple level with the rest of the skull?
It's more level. You would expect there to be more of a curve here, given its position on the skull, but this is flat. Like, this was built on top of the curve of the skull.
Right, but I mean, so there's a way of getting off the platform easily onto the skull?
Off this platform, yes. It's just this simple step up and step down.
Okay. So Lucerosi might actually investigate the body of the giant to see if perhaps, maybe this was it. He was its jailer, and as such, it might have some kind of key or some kind of item that might be able to free him.
Right. The body itself is mostly chunks of stone now, shattered apart. Other than its sword, you don't really see anything that looks like it's noteworthy at all.
Mm-hmm. Its sword is still there?
Its sword is still there. It's still on fire.
How big is that sword?
It is designed for something huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how long we've been into this hour, so you might have a short amount of time.
Right. Basically, the sword weighs about 300, 400 pounds, but
You got it, dude.
you can totally carry it for the moment without trouble.
Well, is there anything interesting about the hilt or the pommel or anything?
It actually looks sort of surprisingly utilitarian. You don't think that this was not made by anybody's high art. It is a relatively flat blade. It is sharpened on both edges of the blade, but the top of it doesn't even come to a proper point. So the top is just flattened off. Then the hilt is, while functional and sturdy, it's not. There's nothing that makes it look impressive. If it were normal size, you would not be impressed by this sword. That it's on fire is the most impressive thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you probably said it, I didn't catch it. Is this person human who's turned to stone, or?
Yes, the features do look human.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's good.
Just because Lucerosi is interested in, because he found the fight with the giant particularly noteworthy for him, just because of how well it fought and how well Lucerosi was able to fight against it. He might try to break off a piece of the blade to try to keep as a souvenir of some sort.
Okay. How are you breaking off a piece of the blade, I guess?
I'd probably use thoughts and prayers.
I was hoping
Okay.
it's
Yes, actual thoughts and prayers. So yeah, you were able to break off the end of the blade. I mean, it's on fire, so hard to
Is
carry.
it still on fire?
Oh yeah. Whatever is keeping it on fire seems to be a property of the metal it's made from.
Reinforce
So
that
I probably
motherfucker.
can't even hold the part that I had without like burning myself.
Yeah, you were pretty sure from interacting with it that fire will burn you.
It has, in fact, burned you.
it's
Yeah.
residual of that vicious mockery, really.
I am curious if I have a water skin and I place it within the water, does the fire go out or does it just bubble away the water?
I would think the chunk you broke off is probably too big to fit in a water skin. If you
Okay.
want to pour the water on it.
Okay, I would try pouring the water on it.
Mr. Scratches, what's his name again?
Whose name?
Zara Kael.
Would he know you?
I am told that he might.
Okay, you probably want to be up here so he sees you. And I walk over to him and say, if I could turn back time, and cast Greater Restoration.
Oh, well, Lushrosi
As
will drop the piece that he broke off and rush over.
So as you are pouring water on this thing, you see the flame isn't even dented by the water. Some of the water is boiling off. Most of it's just running off onto the side of the skull and then falling off into this void around it. You then run back as you see this wizardly figure changes back into a living being. His hair is sort of a chestnut brown. He looks not all that old. He looks like he's probably in his mid-30s. And as he looks out at you, he doesn't seem as if he's entirely focused on you as a group. But he says, and that's where we have to go if we want to get this done in time. Where did
Pray,
Mordenkainen
can you explain that to me again? I seem to have missed part of your explanation.
Who are you?
Are you, by chance, Zara Kael?
Who is Zara? I am not Zara Kael. I am Bucknard the Magewright. Your voice sounds very familiar, though. Have we met before? I assume your cloak is down, your hood.
Yeah,
Have we met before?
possible. I was encased in stone for quite some time.
So is he?
He's like
don't
right
have
up
much-
in your face.
Yeah, I would kind of like back off a little bit.
That's
but-
Mr. Scratches.
I don't know, Mister. And as you say that, he like looks over and sees Aurelia and says, "Oh my!" And who are you?
I'm Aurelia.
Too young.
Well, Aurelia, I assume you are this group's druid.
No? But
Oh,
this
you
is
said-
Emperor T-Hole.
Emperor Teal. Are you sure you're not a druid? Because your shape is wild. I am Bucknard the Magewright. You may best know me from my many, many inventions. For example, the Rod of Lordly Might was named after me. Who is in charge of this group? Is this one of you, a slave girl?
She is my daughter, and I am Emperor T-Hole. I believe we have met before. I put you in a headlock.
I'm
I
sorry.
certainly know a buffoon named T-Hole, but T-Hole was a giant strapping man and certainly no emperor. He had wild dreams of empire, but no one took him seriously. No one thought he was going to pull that off. It required far too many things to go his way. It was never going to happen. And you, sir, are not him, sir.
So Lucirosi is very satisfied and smirking at this man's response, but then he's like, "I'm sorry, Buckner. I think I've misremembered the thing that I was told. Can you help me find the seed of Dadarian?"
Oh, the seed of Dadarian. Before I answer that question, and I don't mean to be difficult. Where am I? Last I remember, I was having a very animated conversation with Mordenkainen. He was, frankly, tampering with things that he should never have tampered with in the first place, and I was explaining to him the best way to keep everyone safe and to avoid catastrophe. Then, as I was trying to explain to him my plan to save all creation, I appeared here. Did he teleport me?
He encased you in stone.
That sounds unfortunately plausible.
As I was saying, Buckner, I was once encased in stone as well for quite some time. So, but I do not remember my time prior to emerging from that stone. So, it is entirely possible that at some point we have met.
He turns his back on you as you're like mid-sentence
Yeah.
and is like looking away and up. No, go on, continue.
Well, in this time, I've chosen the name Lucirosi.
More?
I am a paladin in the name of Asheros, and I've been told to seek you out, to free you, and to ask you to return me to the seed of Dadarian.
And he spins around and he puts his arms on your shoulders and says, I couldn't place it, and I don't know what you're doing in that hideous body, but Romalar, my old friend, of course you want your seed back. I should have it here in my pack. Well, I'm assuming Mordenkainen didn't steal it.
And when he starts talking about seed, I'm going to back away.
I'm sorry. Did you call me Romalan?
No, Romalar.
Romalar.
Is that? Do you not remember? Did someone? Were you reincarnated into this form?
Romalar. You, Romalar?
Does this name ring any bells for me?
Give me a history check.
T-Hole huffs and then walks away.
T-Hole clearly knows.
You've never heard of Romalar in your life.
It's a weird name.
But he withdraws from his backpack something that looks a little bit more like a closed flower. It's sort of rose red at one end, a little bit almost pinkish towards the middle. It then fades into white, and the bottom end of it is green and leafy. Well, I was going to hold on to this, but I mean, it's yours, so if you need it.
So Lucirosi holds it in both hands very, very carefully, so as not to risk breaking it or hurting it in any way.
I'm afraid I wasn't able to finish my investigation of it, so I don't know how to make it grow or sprout. It's clearly a living plant, so you may not remember, but all of our efforts to actually just plant it in the soil failed. We were never able to really get it to grow in any medium that we tried. tried several different magical techniques to get it to grow, including consulting with druids like your lovely friend here. But alas, I was unable to figure out the secret to it. I did have several other avenues I could pursue, but I never got around to them before. Well, frankly, I was trying to stop Mordenkainen from destroying all creation, which I think he was probably going to do, but I'm happy to see either someone stopped him or perhaps in a rare occurrence he saw reason.
Thank you, Buckner. I must ask you, I have been told that perhaps you know a way of opening a door to one that I'm told is named Zarakael, a herald of Melora. And Lushrosi's kind of like asking questioningly if any of that rings a bell.
Well, I don't know the name Zarakael. It's clearly a celestial name from the sound of it, or at least it's something aping a celestial name. The Herald of Melora was destroyed many millennia ago, was dragged down into the nether regions by the Oberith, so presumably was transformed into some other sort of being, a demon or a devil or something like that. I could certainly try to figure out what happened to Zarakael. The Oberith didn't tend to destroy Celestials so much as repurpose them. But no, I'm afraid I don't know anything about a door or the specific location of Zarakael. If that was the Herald of Melora, though, it would make sense Zarakael is out there somewhere.
You said that you would be able to research this.
I suppose I'm... Can you tell me, do you have any sense of how much time has passed since I was, trapped here? Is Mordenkainen still around?
Not as far as we know. It's been 1,000 or more years.
1,000? Well, then it might be a little more difficult for me to find out. I don't even know what libraries still exist from my own time. God damn you, Mordenkainen!
And T-Hole starts walking back. He's like, exactly. He is a big asshole.
Does he react to seeing a Dragonborn?
He does not seem to react particularly. He didn't react to, the lion-faced Aasimar, and he didn't really react to the Dragonborn.
Robilar. I guess it all makes sense then.
Does this name mean something to you, T-Hole?
Yes, it does. Robilar was one of the Circle of Eight, Mordenkainen's Circle of Eight. And in fact,
he wasn't. He was a member of the Citadel of Eight, a completely different organization, also run by Mordenkainen.
That is the Emperor you're talking to.
Emperor of what? You've named yourself after T-Hole, a petty warlord? Why? Why, of all the people to name your child after, did your parents choose that?
I'm starting
to regret my decision to free you.
Yes, well, obviously you were encased in stone long before long before some events happened. But I was able to unite the empire and bring a peace.
Unless someone polymorphed you into this form, I'm stronger than you. T-Hole used to routinely get me in headlocks, and until I passed out, he would just squeeze my head. He was constantly making fun of me. The man was so big that when we were riding once, he got off his horse. When it threw a shoe, he lifted it up, legs over his massive shoulders, and carried the beast for several miles. He was a giant of a man. Even age wouldn't have reduced him to your size. He used to always come up and make fun of all the wizards. Dost thou even hoist, bro? All the time we had to deal with this.
This does sound like the T-hole here.
Yes, that is.
we need to put that on a shirt.
The wizard says.
Well, I won't argue with you. I definitely was much stronger in my heyday. However, time makes fools of us all.
That's 1,000 years.
Yes. And I wasn't frozen. I wasn't petrified, so I didn't have the luxury of that sort of
Preservation.
Preservation. Yes, thank you, Aurelia.
I'm still confused at this Robilar figure that in some way I resemble. What is the Citadel of the Eight?
Mordenkainen. Well, Mordenkainen, he actually came to me with this idea, and I thought it was stupid. But he did it anyway. He assembled 8 of his buddies and essentially made the Citadel of Eight, and then Mordenkainen's Circle of Eight. And they would go off tromping on adventures together. Robilar actually disappeared and decided after, I think, one of the battles, he decided to leave. And he dived into the Well of Souls and was not heard from again. However, an alternative version of himself did come out of the Well of Souls and cause a lot of havoc. So the real Robilar has not been seen in a long time. And I mean, you did make a deal with the devil. So you could be the evil.
I see now what has happened, and I apologize, my friend. I didn't realize he was senile.
Yes.
Well,
Robilar was one of the greater warriors of our age, renowned around the world, true hero. He was a member of the Citadel of Eight, formed by Mordenkainen, as was I, although I was a junior probationary member at the time, and I never got past that before. Apparently, I was turned to stone and put in the astral plane. But Robilar was a good friend to all. He was very likable fellow. And frankly, I would not have recognized you at all, but your voice is still so very similar to his. Physically, I mean, I guess you're about the same overall mass, but he was not a lion man. I'm sorry, I don't know what your species is called.
I was under the impression that I was one of the Aasimar.
You very well may be. They are a very variable group at times. It didn't occur to me at first glance that might be the explanation. I assumed you were one of the many new races that appears every now and then.
I'm so confused. This changes so much of who I thought I may have been. I truly have no memory of since emerging from stone.
Well, at one time, before you had memory, you knew Mordenkainen well. He loved Robilar more than most.
I don't know too much about that either. Mordenkainen was a bit of a... he was a difficult fellow to work with, and if you weren't a wizard in particular, he was incredibly difficult. So, T-Hole loved Robilar, but Mordenkainen kind of kept him around as, as they say, a meat shield.
Well, I wrote about it quite differently in my notes from the time. So perhaps we have two first account sources that contradict each other.
I for the time being, as interesting as this is to potentially hear about my personal history, I think that there are matters much more important that we must discern.
I, for one, have to figure out whatever happened with Mordenkainen and his, I don't even know the proper name of it, but he was referring to it as the Wand of Potentium. Has any of you ever heard of the Wand of Potentium?
Probably not.
Is not something I've
Do I remember
encountered.
seeing a wand down below?
No, you do not remember seeing a wand.
Okay.
Roblar, I feel that you should know about the situation outside of this place. Being in Mordenkainen's Manor, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but with a being by the name of Herodana.
I have never heard that name before in my life.
She is aligned with Vecnites, right?
Yep. Well, I certainly know Vecna, or of him.
Yes.
I've never met him myself, but very ancient, very evil being.
Yes. Well, this servant of Vecna is said to be working with another servant of Orcus. And they're here. Yeah, that's right? Am I remembering that right? Aurelia
Yeah,
was
he
kind of
was-
working with Orcus.
He just seems puzzled by that.
Yeah. And this person is here, and we're not certain exactly what she is trying to do, but she is quite powerful and very evil.
Well, I would say this much. The good news is I don't know why Vecna would work with Orcus, but I am 100% certain it's only a matter of time before Orcus breaks that alliance, because that's what demons do. All the time, they just can't be trusted. They can't keep to their words, even if it's in their best interest to do so, they'll break their words. So I wouldn't be too concerned with that particular alliance lasting. I'm more concerned with all of reality unraveling, because Mordenkainen may still be out there with that stupid wand of his.
What was the purpose of this wand?
I don't know that it had a purpose. It was supposed to be a new, or tied, or related, or made of a new kind of magic. And he was doing a lot of research with it, and he was trucking with infernal powers to begin with, but various creatures around the outer planes, and then creatures even more ancient than that. He was attempting to broker a deal even with the beholders and with astral stalkers and a bunch of other creatures that frankly are about as trustworthy as the demons are.
Do you have any idea what he may have wanted to use this wand for? Other than to create a new form of magic?
He believed it was a new form of magic itself. He just wanted to control it. He thought it would add to his power, and he was intellectually curious about it. And so even if it weren't, he probably would spend at least a couple centuries with it, trying to unlock its secrets and how it works. But in any event, Rary sent me to fetch it from him, and he didn't take too kindly to that. So I was trying to explain to him the difficulties that he might face, that we all might face if he kept this research up.
Rary,
Wow.
the traitor?
Rary the wizard.
Yes, he ended up betraying Mordenkainen.
Rary?
Rary.
You really don't understand these people. You should go back and do some more historical research. I mean, I understand it must be hard at your age to like read through a whole book and retain the information, but Rary was one of the best of us.
Do you
He had
realize that you yourself disappeared after the original Circle of Eight, and you weren't around to see what happened later on, so that your version of events may be incomplete?
Yeah, but you're talking about my friends who I knew personally, and you are, oh, I'm sorry, but just a crazy old man.
He is.
From 1,000 years after these events occurred. You couldn't even have been alive then unless you've somehow extended your life to a vast degree. Mordenkainen may be able to do that, but I don't necessarily sense that you have that kind of power.
Don't
One
underestimate our emperor.
One point. But anyways, the world is not as it was when you were encased in stone.
Well, the world does change, so I assume that much is true. Now, I assume from the surroundings that we're on the astral plane. Can you confirm that?
Yeah. Perchance, Buckner, do you happen to know flame-headed cleric of Ashros?
No, not off the top of my head. I mean,
Okay.
I assume you mean a red-headed cleric? I mean, still
possible.
no, but I'm sure I must have met one at some point, but it didn't stick in the mind.
Okay. All right. So, Buckner, what do you intend to do now that you are free?
Well, I suppose I should figure out what happened to Mordenkainen and Rary, and if the wand was ever contained.
Zarius, you mentioned that you found a cache of some sort, correct?
Yes, but I would rather not talk about it with someone new.
Well, that's fair enough. I don't mean to steal any of your treasure.
Not treasure. We just have gone through a lot, and we are unsure if we can trust you.
I trust this man.
I will do what I can to find out about your Zarakiel, to see whatever happened to that. I don't know if it's a he or a she, but should be easy enough to find out as soon as I can get access to a library of some sort, at least one that has a fairly good section on ancient religious figures.
Mm-hmm. Additionally, Zarius, if Buckner's accounts are true, and Mordenkainen did indeed create this wand, then it would be important for us to know about it. And it's possible that Mordenkainen's notes may prove useful in that.
Oh, he didn't create the wand. It predated, according to him, possibly the entire universe. He merely found it. I don't know where. And then he found several other versions of it, analogs that were scattered around different planes of existence, and merged them all into the one wand that he had. I think he was looking at getting the last few pieces when I last saw him, so by now, I imagine he either gave up the pursuit of the knowledge of the magic of the wand, or he completely assembled it, in which case, I'm surprised you were here to save me.
Did he ever have any dealings with Asmodeus?
Not per se that I know of, but he dealt with all sorts. Angels and demons, so many devils owed him favors, and they.
Well, I think that we should begin investigating, looking through the cache of items and books to better understand what we might have to bring to bear against our enemies above.
If you search Robilar, or not, if you're seeking Rary, the last place that he is known is, do you know where Ismailir is?
Yes, of course. It's one of the more ancient regions of the world.
He returned to the Bright Desert there, along with him and evil Robilar. That's where he was last known or recorded. So I would start your search there.
I don't know where in the Bright Desert he would be, but I suppose that might be useful. I mean, it's been 1,000 years. I figured I might first see what remains of the Citadel of Eight. Might be some clue that he left there. At the very least, there may be notes there on what happened to the wand after I left. But yeah, Bright Desert will certainly be my next stop if I can't find any better leads.
To be honest, Buckner, I think perhaps the safest place that you can be right now is here. The manor is overrun with demons and devils.
He smiles a bit, like just a little bit, and says, I think you overestimate the danger that demons pose, but I don't doubt that, in the short term, they could definitely cause a lot of havoc. In the long term, they're almost comically ineffectual.
While that may be true, we fought through hordes of the creatures just getting to this point. And there are still yet more that remain.
See, I realize it's been 1,000 years, but maybe you're not understanding. I'm afraid there is a threat, not just to a few lives, but to all of history, of every life, all at once. And I don't know what the status of that threat is.
I understand that, Buckner. I'm not disregarding the importance of discovering what has become of this wand. But I mean, certainly, as you mentioned, in the short term, being able to leave the manor safely is a concern.
I mean, I know the manor. You mean Mordenkainen's little lodge, but we could just leave from here. Do we want to? If we want to leave, I can take us right now. Just want to go back to the mundane world.
Luce Rosie's eyes kind of go wide, and he kind of looks at everybody else. You know, so much has happened to make this so much more complicated than it once was. Buckner, we originally came here in search of a simple book, but so much has been revealed in terms of the machinations of Belladonna and fallen paladin Aregia. Now, with what you say, with this wand, things have become more complicated.
Well, I mean, I can imagine that if the demons got their hands on the wand, that would be a problem, because they certainly wouldn't hesitate to use it to destroy things. But that said, I can't imagine Mordenkainen would have left it so unguarded that they could ever get to it. And frankly, if they've already had possession, if you're running into them at every turn, then, well, maybe it's down below. Maybe it's what's in this, the interior of this thing. And he stamps his heel down.
Have you happened to heard of the De Fabrica?
Doesn't ring any bells.
Really, T-Hole? With everything that we've been through, we're worrying about Lokexicus's mission?
I mean, that's the book that Lokexicus wanted, but we don't know exactly what it does.
I think we've come to understand that the circumstances are much greater than the few dozen gold pieces that Lokexicus might have offered.
I mean, if your friend doesn't want me to go down and poke around whatever's down inside this floating skull, maybe you should. If you find this almost like a skeletal arm with a purplish black sphere at the end of it made of glass, or at least it feels like glass. I'm not 100% sure it's glass.
Personally, Buckner, while I don't have any memory of you, I feel that I can trust you. I do not have cause for concern with Buckner accompanying us into the cache, especially since Buckner, you seem to know a bit about Mordenkainen. His knowledge could be helpful in understanding what lies beneath our feet.
Well, I imagine he had to tow this whole skull into position, so my guess would be he was storing research notes there, maybe a few items he thought he might need as a reserve in case things went wrong. You know, an emergency cash sort for him.
Cast magic and start heading down towards the thing.
What was that? You broke up a bit. I think your hood is interfering with the microphone.
That or this wire is fucking stupid. I was going to cast Detect Magic. I was going to take 10 minutes to do it, if possible, to do it ritually, and then go down there. Head that direction. Because I want to look out for any magical traps he might have fucking laid out.
I feel like that detecting magic in here is almost like staring at the sun.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Once I get down, I mean, let's be inside of a skull. I mean, it's the astral plane. It's not like it's a magic plane.
No, but all of Mordenkainen's items and traps and machinations and whatnot.
That's what I'm hoping to figure out.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'll just send you this, and then we can break for the night. So as everyone goes down to check out this, Bucknard is more than happy to just remain above until you are okay with him going down, Zarius. He doesn't want to create problems, and he's not all that eager. So everything else that's in the room is apparently non-magical. The desk and the furniture. It's pretty Spartan. Like there are some candles and some torches in sconces along the walls that are unlit. Most of what's there, though, is pretty good quality, but not overly valuable. And it's really only the magical things that are of any real note. There is no wand of the sort that he describes, but one of the two magical books The magic appears to just be protecting it from damage and harm, although it does look as if someone purposefully was defacing and tearing pages out of it. And on the title page, you see someone has drawn the image of a wand that looks exactly like what he was describing, Bucknard was describing. It also appears to be research notes themselves on the wand. The other book appears to be a spell book from the outside of it. It's got what looks to be a stylized decorative dagger on the outside, but it is clearly labeled on the spine as the Librum Octo Aorus, the spell book that T-Hole was looking for.
Ah. So T-Hole would grab it and start. He would be greedily thumbing through it.
As you try to open it, it won't open. There doesn't seem to be a lock or anything like it, but it just seems like it's sealed.
Kurt, something in my brain just connected. I'm gonna send you a whisper.
I mean, I know someone with a chime of opening.
Yeah, so do I.
Could open that book.
Very light.
Would you be a darling and open this?
Why?
Well, so we could. This book contains the holding spell that was used to seal the librarian in the first place. If we wish to seal him and buy more time, then we'll need to open it. But if you do not wish to help, then I can find a way to open it without your aid.
Forgive me if I'm not too immediately jumping at the opportunity to help you satisfy your greed.
Well, give me an investigation check, T-Hole.
All right.
You imagine that the dagger is actually sort of magically holding it closed. So the dagger is actually, you can tell from manipulating the book, the dagger can be removed, and it is probably serving as a sort of magical anchor to keep the book sealed.
All right. So I would play around with it and try to take off the dagger.
So as you pull the dagger, there's these metal bands that are sort of over the middle of it. They expand as you start tugging on the dagger, and the dagger comes free, and there is a flash. And you are all no longer in the astral plane. We will pick it up next time. You are back in the room with the giant idol, except now there is a shimmering sword of force that is pointing its blade directly at T-Hole.
God damn it.
And about to move into attack.
It's Mordenkainen's sword.
In here, I thought, oh, T-Hole's going to get caught up in some iron bands of Bellario. Nope. Mordenkainen's sword's coming out.
So I will send you, in fact, I can do it. Because it's, this spell book is no joke. There are a lot of spells in it, none of which you would have ever heard of before. So I will add those in so that you can sort of skim through them. But it'll take a lot of work for you to master them all.
I would imagine that probably be a lifetime.
Several, perhaps.
Yeah. But pick a couple choice ones.
We were able to grab all of these magic items before this happened, right?
Yeah, everything that was in the room, including the desk and everything else, seems to have come with you.
Okay. That's handy.
let's see.
Glad I thought to go into the skull.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'll have to take a closer look at the Book of the Wand. There's a lot of good stuff in here.
Yeah, there's a lot in the Book of the Wand too. But you should be able to see now the list of spells if you look at the Liber Machio Aorus again.
Yes. Cool.
Like we're sitting here on top of this thing, and I just couldn't help but think of